Last year in April, a friend of ours came to visit us. He lives in Germany, but you can tell he is from the Balkans, especially from this photo. The man's name is Slobodan, and he talks a lot, about anything.
I think I spoke too much about Bulgaria.
The night before he was going to fly back to Germany, he decided to teach us something useful, and that is how to make homemade bread.
I know it's very simple, but some people here, pointing at you, are not aware of how a good bread is made. So what you need: flour. In our case we have two varieties of flour, brown flour and normal white flour. You obviously don't need to mix them, but the reason why I decided to mix two types of flour is diversity is a nice thing. Second, the bread is a bit more interesting. Water. The water should be at body temperature, so when you dip your finger, the water should feel pleasantly nice. It shouldn't be too hot, otherwise it would kill the yeast. And of course we need yeast. Those are the main three ingredients, but of course no one wants to eat plain bread. We want to make it a bit more special. Therefore we also have some sugar, some salt and cooking oil. So I'm not really gonna measure anything, because back in the days our grannies were not measuring stuff. They just relied on their eyes and instincts and so on. So I'm gonna pretty much do the same thing. So basically we take a bit of this flour. It's actually good not to pour immediately, but to do it very slowly. Otherwise, it might become quite thick. I'm probably gonna put approximately 40% of this thing, which means around 400 grams. Hopefully it's gonna happen this year. And then I'm gonna use around 20% of this bag. You obviously can do half-half. You can also use only one type of flour. It's not a big deal. And again, the process is the same. We also have the yeast now. So what we have to do is to just crumble it. Now we go to the salt. It's good to have salt because a bread without salt doesn't really taste like bread. Basically put a handful of salt. So I just spread it out, a bit of everywhere. And then I would use the same amount of sugar. You don't really need to use sugar because sugar is not necessary for bread. The sugar is actually good for the yeast because the yeast will eat the sugar and it might make it a bit fluffier. Again, not too much. Now we just have to mix it a bit. You can use your hand if you want. Now that everything is mixed, we just have to make a small crater inside, pouring the water slowly, and we make a nice pond. And in the meantime, we're also gonna just throw some oil. I don't know how much. Obviously it should be less than water, but... So you just start slowly mixing, and obviously we need more water, so you can pour. It's okay to have a bit more flour because currently the dough is very sticky and you don't want to have it sticky. So what we do is basically trying to bring everything together and make a nice consistent mixture. So we pour more flour, then we continue to mix. So in the bowl you basically need to mix until it kind of starts to feel a bit solid, so you can hold it. And now is the fun part where you just have to play with it. It's still really soft, but with time it's gonna start to become like a proper dough. And this process now with playing with the dough takes around 5 to 10 minutes. So as you can see, we're more or less done. Once you make like a nice ball, you pour a bit of cooking oil inside, just put it everywhere, and you grab the nice cute dough, you put it in the middle. We'll cover it with foil. Once this is done, basically you need to go in some room, put it under some blankets and pillows, and cover it fully so it starts to grow in this temperature. If it's too cold, it might never go up, and then you might actually not have a nice bread. Alright, so after starving for an hour, we're more or less done. As you can see, it's almost completely full. It's quite spongy and soft. And what we have to do now is to try to preserve the air as much as possible, because what we have to do at the moment is to pull and softly kind of tuck the dough in the middle. That's how we'll bring even more air and we'll make it even fluffier. If we don't do it but we bake it like that, you're still gonna end up having a nice bread, but it will be super crumbly. And you might notice already some bubbles coming up. That's a good sign that it's full of air. This process takes a couple of minutes. You just have to mix it a bit and make some shape and put it in a form. You can also put some cooking oil, a bit. You don't need to use a form, it's just optional. And another thing that is optional, what you can actually do to make your bread to look visibly nice and taste a tiny bit better, is to use one yolk from an egg without the egg white, which you have to just mix a bit. And then basically use some seeds, so the seeds will stick on this. So if you don't have anything, just use your hands and fingers. Put a tiny bit, maybe around half of it, and just spread it on the bread, as you can see. Right, and now that this is already here, you can just put some seeds. You can use whatever you want. You can even put some herbs, but preferably if you put some herbs, you should put it while making the dough, not afterwards, so you can have something inside. You can also use seeds at the beginning. Once this is done, we can basically put it in the oven and bake it for 20 minutes on 200 degrees. And after that, we are supposed to be having a really nice, tasty bread. Alright, we're almost done. That's how it looks. Right now it's really hot, so whatever you do, it's gonna be a mistake. You have to leave it for approximately an hour so it can cool down, because if you start taking it out, start slicing it, you're gonna create a mess, because currently the bread is in a process of still baking since the temperature is quite high. If you're very patient, you're gonna be rewarded pretty well.
So now for the tasting, it's past midnight, so we're all absolutely dead. I think we took this bread process a little bit too far, but Slobo is leaving tomorrow morning, so we have to get it done, and this is it. Now it's time for some tasting. You're so tired, man. Alright, let's...
Some of us were already asleep.
I woke her up, I'm so bad. Alright, I'm sorry. Alright, let's cut it. Come on. We did not wait a long time for this to cool down, so...
I can't watch.
Oh. But it smells so good, man. It smells so good.
I love the ending bit.
Okay, you take it then.
Actually, it does smell really nice.
Yeah, it smells really nice.
I don't know, there is something in the Bulgarian water and
okay,
flour
you have this
that
bit, you have that bit.
it's falling apart, it's still warm.
Saltier than first time, but I like him. I prefer it.
Right, let's see.
I thought she was exaggerating, but actually it does taste nice. It's definitely better than when I make it in Germany. I think the water makes a big difference. It's so much softer and spongier. It's still very warm, so it's kinda a bit doughy, but we are super impatient, super tired. We wanna eat as well before going to sleep for 3 hours. So
This is very good. I think this is another reason why people should come to Bulgaria. The water is better, so you have a bit of bread. Just a little bit.
No.
We'll
He's
try.
getting used to it.
Okay. Just give him a little crumb. Yeah. My God, absolute animal.
Okay.
Aren't you?
But keep in mind this dog eats shit as well.
Like the cow shit.
Don't
You know, we had some cows in the garden, and he started eating their shit. Okay. Right. Oh yeah.
Yes, he swallowed a право няма да
Благодаря. Видеото е останало, така че...
Да.
Yeah.
Baby, you're playing with fire, man. Protect that.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, I'm just gonna take care of this thing.
You're taking
somewhere
it back
else.
to Germany or what?
It's my breath.